Now that we got the hood done on the Corvette, we got the body shop girl over here out here working with my friend Pete, stripping down the rest of the car. And you can see what quite a mess this is, hand stripping this down to the fiberglass. Now what you're looking at on the fiberglass itself is the factory brown primer. Now we'll be removing all that, but we're going to sand all that. We're not going to gouge that and waste our stripper. We're taking it down to the fiberglass and the factory primer. We've run into quite a mess over here on this right-hand fender. It was wrecked at one time. You want to show everybody what's going on with this? You can see where it, yeah, that's real handy dandy. And we got a major body work over here where it looks like it was put back together. And then over here, if you look right here, see the discoloration? This is new fiberglass that they added to the vehicle when they got in a wreck. So we've been working on this side of the car all day. I don't even know what time it is. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon now. We started like 9:30 this morning, and this is all we got done.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
So to give you a little example of what we're talking about, I'm going to go ahead and get some 36 grit just like this, and then I'm taking my long throw DA sander, which is a sander for body work and such. It's not a finish sander. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 36 grit with the DA, and I'm just going to kind of rough this paint up and kind of dig into it so the stripper will go underneath it. And then once we've done that, now we can start the process of removing the paint. By grinding into the paint like you just saw and penetrating the paint, what happens is it will release the paint and the stripper will get down inside where we need it to be a lot quicker and more efficient. Once you have removed the top coat, the rest of it comes off pretty easy. It's getting that top coat, that top layer of paint off of the vehicle. And then once you do that, pretty much all comes off really pretty much with ease. Now the area that I'm working on, it's going to take more than normal because this is where the accident occurred on the vehicle, and it's got aftermarket primer on it. So besides having the red paint, silver paint, factory primer and all this, it's got body work, aftermarket paint, aftermarket primer, and everything else. So in this particular area that I'm working on, it will take longer to get it off than normal. Alright, are you still using the stripper or are you flushing it now?
No,
you're finishing up on the stripping? Okay. Because this side was real bare, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we had a lot of action going on this front fender, of course. I've already explained that. But what Minnie's doing now is she's doing the final,
Getting the last little bit.
little bit off with her steel wool, and then she'll go over it with a product called Flusher, which deactivates the stripper and cleans the fiberglass. And you can see right here, here's some flusher that hasn't dried yet, but once it dries, you can see that's the finished product. So this will work on fiberglass. It does strip fiberglass. Everybody has their own way of stripping vehicles, and my way is basically the way you're watching. You just got to know how to use the product at your benefit. Is that right?
Yeah, and also a lot has to do with the weather, the temperature that you're working
Right,
in.
we're working right now.
It's
It's like
freezing.
35 degrees
Yeah.
outside. It's like 50 inside the shop, so it's going to be a little longer to strip the car in that type of a weather.
Yeah, and conversely, if you're in Texas in the middle of summer,
120 degrees
it's going to
weather,
be
it's going to do the same
difficult
thing.
because it's going to evaporate so quick.
Yeah, so, you know.
you got to fight your battles.
So if you're looking for a product that's going to strip your classic $100,000 vintage collector automobile and do the right job, I suggest to look up Cooper's Stripper Club paint and varnish stripper. They do have an American USA telephone number that you can call, and you can buy the complete kit to strip one vehicle, and it does come with the products that I'm showing you. This is their flusher. They call it the varnish flusher. It rinses soft residue off and cleans the surface properly. I got to get back to work. This is Pete stripping a 1961 Corvette and bringing it back to originality for the owner. So take it easy and do it right. All right, we're back on the Corvette. We actually had to stall out for about, what, 3 days?
Yeah.
Because of the weather. It's been too cold to actually use the stripper at hand. And as you can see, Minnie's working really hard at getting this done. How's it working out on this side?
Pretty good.
Is it coming off a lot easier? Or?
Yeah, actually it is easier on this side. It's just messy. It's just
Yeah, it's a messy job for sure. I noticed there's body damage right here
there
on this.
it is. Look at that.
Yeah, you got the aftermarket primer on it and everything else.
Something happened right there.
So something must have happened right there. He probably burned rubber and slid around and smacked into a tree or something.
Maybe, but there's definitely damage right there.
And it looks like underneath this paint right here, we might have some more damage. I see some primer under that.
Yeah, I think so. Possible.
So what are we thinking about the back here? Are we going to be able to strip that by hand, or are we going to have sandblast to Steve?
No, I'm going to strip it.
Okay.
I just hadn't got back here yet. I'm going to strip it. It's going to be all right.
It's just going to take some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
See, it's going to come off.
Yeah. So the stripper's working pretty good, but the weather's kind of cold out, so it's not really working properly.
Because the weather is so cold, you got to work in a much smaller area at a time. You can't do the whole area at a time. You got to
just do a little section at a time. Yeah. How many coats have we already put on the door over here? Just
3, I think.
Just 3 coats already, huh?
Yeah, but see, it's penetrating all the way down.
Yeah, take some steel wool. See how 3 coats of it. Yeah, it's coming out, but So, what are you using more of, scraping or steel wool?
Steel wool.
Yeah, you're using a lot of steel wool. How many bags do you think you've already used on this job?
I don't know. I bought like 20, I think.
Yeah, I think we've used about, what, 4 bags already? 4 or 5?
At least.
Yeah. So, the protection, let's talk about that. Of course, your hands need protected. What about the smell?
Well,
what's going on?
This particular stuff, although I'm not saying, please everybody, don't get me wrong, do not go out and intentionally sniff this stuff.
Right.
It does have a pleasant smell, unlike other stripper,
brands.
which is just chemical and you cannot smell it.
Yeah, gagging yourself.
Yeah. But it does have a pleasant smell. But if you are in a room that is not well ventilated, wear a protection.
Yeah, you can see our shop is very big, a lot of ventilation.
We're in a big shop with the fumes don't build up in here.
Yeah, so we got a door, we got the fender almost done. You're working on the back. We're going to go ahead and put another coat on that, and that'll probably be the end of that one. And then we got a door, we got the front fender, And then down here, if I can't strip this, I don't know if I want to strip that upside down, being a toxic and chemical that can burn my skin. I don't want to get that in my eyes. We might let Sandblast Steve go ahead and blast the bottom of this and be done with that. And I was even thinking maybe back here, if Minnie can't get all the paint off of the back end, because we're even talking about the little holes right there. It looks like you can do this.
Yeah,
so,
and I can do the
okay. Well, that's upside down. I don't know. I don't want to take a chance. We can have Steve blast that real quick, and it probably wouldn't take him long. So we'll see where we're at. When you're stripping a car like this is basically where you want to take it, right here. You don't want to go to the extreme of taking the factory primer off with the stripper. We're going to sand that and get rid of it by hand sanding it, okay? You're going to see that as we move forward on the restoration of our beautiful 61 Corvette. So let's get back to work here and get this car stripped. I know Minnie the body shop girl wants to get done with it, and I'm rambling on, so yeah, there you go. Okay, so we're on day 3 of this strip job, day 4 actually. And what I'm doing here, I'm removing all the residue and all of the imperfectional paint that we want off of this car. Now this is factory primer. We're not worried about that right now. We don't want to grind and sand until that comes off. We want to leave that on there. That's a factory primer. That's not going to hurt anything. It's just like an etch primer that was put on a metal car, but this is fiberglass. So I'm going to go ahead and try to show you a little bit of what we're doing to finish this out. As far as stripping it goes by hand, but you can see I've already done the deck lid, I've done the back end, and then we're going to have our buddy Steve blast that for us on the bottom. We're going to have him take his walnut shells and lightly blast that to clean that up. And then we'll have him get in here too and get all this nastiness out. And then of course down here on the bottom, we need to get that blown out as well. So yeah, stripping that upside down by hand, that's pretty dangerous because of the chemicals. So we're going to let Steve take care of that. But if you look over here on this side, you can see that this is where we ended up stripping it. And you can see all the residue that was left from the stripper. And that's basically what we're removing here. We're removing the residue and the leftover stripper effect from this flusher stuff that they require you to use with this. And the way that I'm doing that, I am taking a finish sander. We're not taking a full-blown D.I.Y. This is a very short throw finish sander, something you would use for color sand and buffing, because you don't want to use a full-blown D.I.Y. sander, rough-in D.I.Y. sander, because it will literally eat the fiberglass, and we don't want to do that. All we want to do is feather all this out, take off all this residue mess, and just clean it up really good so we can start our venture in doing all the body work and getting this car back to originality like it was. So I'm going to kind of take you through just a real quick step of what I'm doing. And then we're going to put this car on hold for a couple weeks because we got another car that we got to work on, which is our 71 Chevelle, and we already started working on this over the weekend. I already did the rust repair on the rear quarter panel, which wasn't that bad for being a Pennsylvania up East Coast car. If you want to know more about this car, watch all the videos on it. It's going to be a beautiful car when it's done, and it's a beautiful car. It's a lovely, beautiful car. That's all I can say about it. And this is what we got to work on. So we're going to be putting the 61 Corvette on hold once I get this final stripped for about 2 weeks, and then we'll get back on it. So let me get this done. We'll see you in a couple weeks. And we're moving forward with our 1961 Corvette. We found out that this was a silver car originally. The owner decided he's going to go back with silver with white inserts, red interior, and I think it's going to be a beautiful car when we're done. So Follow us on this build job. Beautiful, classic collector car, 1961 Corvette. The car's stripped down by hand. We did a beautiful job on it. What we're going to do now, we're going to give it to Steve, our buddy, Sandblaster Steve. Now, what are you going to do on the bottom of that and on the back, Steve? What's going on?
We're going to blast it with walnut shell.
Okay, hold on. You said walnut shell. Why not soda? Why not baking soda, bud? What's going on with that? I thought that was the...
It's pretty much, I think, the same
Is that
thing.
the same stuff? So it's real fine
Yeah.
material, like powder almost, kind of?
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Do you sand that? I mean, do you blast that at a very low pressure or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we
Probably
looking at?
50 PSI.
About 50 PSI. Now you're using water with this?
No.
This is just a dry blast system here. No water, no dustless blasting crap at all. There will be dust flying. Okay, so that means you better cover up your house, bud. It might get full of walnut shells. Okay, so we're going to blast the bottom of it because Minnie was actually going to strip it. And she got up under there and started falling in her face, dude. We don't want that. So where we're at right now, we're at a place called Corn Customs. Now Steve had a beautiful shop. He had to sell it, but he's rebuilding and retransplanting out here. You can see he's got a beautiful collection of junk, and it looks beautiful out here. If you need any kind of blasting at all, it doesn't matter if wet blasting, sand blasting, dustless blasting, walnut shell, whatever you need, this is the guy to call. This is the guy that I use, because when it comes to doing this, you need somebody you can trust, and that's a fact. Am I right?
Absolutely.
How many cars have we done where they have warped and ruined the cars?
Oh my goodness.
Steve is the only one. Steve's the only one that I've never had a problem with.
Never.
Now the owner requested to have this sandblasted, stripped by hand. Being a 61 that it is, worth a lot of money, you kind of get that idea. But you did our 69 for us. Now how did that strip?
That came out pretty good.
Yeah, that came out really, really nice. It wasn't rough. We found out that 60 Corvette all the way up to 72, there's no gel coat on these. The machine that he's going to use is over here. And this is a dustless blasting machine, but he's going to use it without any water, so it should blast nice, huh?
Yeah, you can blast dry or wet.
Yeah, speak a little louder. We can't hear you, Steve.
Yeah, you can blast dry or wet.
Okay, dry or wet with this machine. Okay. So Steve's the man right here. If you live in this area, the tri-state area, Colorado, New Mexico, or Utah, give Steve a call, and he'll be glad to blast you down. This is Pete, my friend Pete, getting the Corvette done, and hoping it's going to turn out good. Thanks very much, Steve. We're going to let you get to work, buddy.
All right.
All right, turn it off, man.
For watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.